This training will cover Chapter 6, Meal Reimbursement Claims, and is presented by the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs, also known as ODE-CNP. This presentation is the second of 3 trainings regarding Chapter 6, Meal Reimbursement Claims. This video will focus on submitting a claim in CNP Web. In this video, we will go over CNP Web user access, how to submit a claim in CNP Web, claim errors, when to submit a reimbursement claim due dates, late claims, one-time exception request, and revising a claim. To be reimbursed for meals and snacks served, sponsors must complete and submit a monthly online sponsor claim in CNP Web, which includes individual site reimbursement claims for each approved site. To submit claims online, individual users must have a secure user ID and password to access CNP Web. Users may not share their user IDs and passwords. Each user ID is confidential and must only be used by the person it is assigned to. ODE-CNP recommends sponsors check and update CNP Web site information sheets regularly to ensure they are accurately reflecting the CACFP operations at each site. The bottom left image is the login screen for CNP Web, and the image on the right is the home screen after a user has logged into CNP Web with their user ID and password. Sponsors must use the CNP Web user authorization and request form to add new users. Sponsors must use the user authorization termination form to delete users. Both forms are available on the Packet tab of the CNP Web Sponsor Summary page under the CNP Web Forms and Resources heading. To submit a claim in CNP Web, sponsors must start by logging into CNP Web and clicking on the orange CACFP puzzle piece. Review the information on the splashboard and click the Continue button located at the bottom of the screen once you're ready to progress to the next step. The next step is to select the CACFP fiscal year for the claim you will be submitting. As a reminder, the CACFP fiscal year starts in October and ends in September. Next, you will select the Claims tab, click Add for the sponsor claim, scroll to the bottom of the sponsor claim page, leave the checkbox unchecked, and click Submit. Next, you will click the Here link to return to the sponsor summary page. On the sponsor summary page, click the yellow folder to open all applicable site provider claims. Click Add for site provider claim. Enter your claim information and click Submit. Correct any errors until the status is complete, and then repeat the previous steps for each site or provider claim. Click Edit for the sponsor claim. Check the Certify box when you're all done and click Submit. Once the monthly claim is complete and submitted, the claim should either be in pending approval or approved status. When the status of the sponsor claim is approved, it will be paid within the next payment batch. Some important things to remember are that the CACFP application packet must be in approved status in CNP Web in order to submit a claim. When using the user ID and password, the user is certifying that the information transmitted electronically is complete and accurate, and all required documentation is on file. No changes may be made until after the claim has been moved to paid status by ODE-CNP. If edits need to be claimed prior to being in paid status, please contact your assigned child nutrition specialist. The CNP Web Quick Reference Guide, which is located on the CNP Web Packet tab under the CNP Web Forms and Resources heading, provides step-by-step instructions for common tasks in CNP Web, including submitting a claim. If the post confirmation box that comes up after you submit your claim states that your claim is in error or pending submission status, you have not submitted your claim for payment. You must do one of the following to complete the claim submission. If you're receiving an error status for a site claim, open the site claim page and determine what information is missing. Once all required information is entered, click Submit. The site claim should now have a status of complete. Some common site errors include enrollment information on lines 1 through 4 has been entered incorrectly, and the number of operating days and total monthly attendance was entered incorrectly. If you're receiving an error status for a sponsor claim, open the sponsor claim page and determine what information is missing. If you need to keep the claim in pending submission status to make additional changes, Scroll to the bottom of the sponsor claim and click Submit. If you are done with all entries and revisions, check the sponsor certification box in field 26 and click Submit. Some common sponsor errors include the I certify box wasn't checked, and a site was listed on the claim, but it did not operate in that month. If that's the case, the sponsor will need to update the site info sheet to remove it from the claim. If a site did not operate in the claim month, make sure to uncheck the month in the site information sheet to clear errors. You will need to click the checkbox next to Check Here to submit this form to the state for approval, and click Submit to send the site information sheet into pending approval status. Once your assigned child nutrition specialist has approved the change, the error should clear from your site claim. ODE CMP recommends sponsors submit original claims by the 10th of the month following the claim month. The deadline for submitting an original claim is 60 days following the end of the claim month. The official submission date of a claim is the date the sponsor level claim was certified and submitted online in CMP Web. Original claims may not be entered into CMP Web after the 60-day claim period. Claims are closed each Tuesday from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. for processing. If a holiday falls on a Monday, claims will be closed the Wednesday following the holiday. The CMP Web claim system will automatically adjust due dates during leap years. If the due date falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or federal holiday, the claim deadline will be the next business day. This table provides claim due dates for each month and can be found in Chapter 6 of the CACFP Policy and Procedure Manual. Original claims may not be entered into CMP Web after the 60-day claim period. Program regulations state that a final claim for reimbursement shall be postmarked or submitted to the state agency no later than 60 days following the last day of the full month covered by the claim. Claims not postmarked or submitted within the 60 days shall not be paid with program funds unless FNS determines that an exception should be granted. Sponsors can submit an exception request for circumstances beyond your control, circumstances within your control, which is a one-time exception, and special circumstances. We will discuss all these circumstances later on in this video. You may submit an exception request for circumstances beyond your control. If your claim was late due to circumstances genuinely beyond your control, you may submit the claim with documented written evidence. We will analyze the evidence and make our determination as to whether the circumstances warrant payment. If we determine they do not, you may still request a one-time exception for circumstances within your control. Beyond control exceptions must ultimately be approved by FNS. For circumstances within your control, a center sponsor may request a one-time exception for the submission of a late claim that was within their control. Such an exception will be granted for only one late monthly claim within the 36-month period per program, including NSLP, SBP, SFSP, and CACFP. If you submit more than one late claim, the month with the greatest value will be considered. Once this exception is granted, no further payment under this provision will be made within the subsequent 36-month period. In disaster situations, ODE CMP may approve sponsors to submit claims beyond the 60-day requirement. To submit an exception request, complete the one-time exception request form and submit it to your assigned child nutrition specialist. This form can be found on the Packet tab of CMP Web under the CMP Web Forms and Resources heading. If sponsors need to reconstruct claims that have not been submitted due to loss of current records, they must consult with ODE CMP. ODE CMP may approve such requests in consultation with the FNS offices. The one-time exception request form can be found on the Packet tab of CMP Web under the CMP Web Forms and Resources heading. To submit an exception request, complete the one-time exception request form and submit it to the ODE Community Nutrition email. Upon receipt of your exception request, ODE CMP will review it to determine whether it sufficiently addresses the reason for lateness and the actions to remedy the late submission. An exception request for a late claim submission for either circumstances beyond your control or circumstances within your control must include the following items: the original claim for reimbursement, a written description of events and circumstances that prevented claiming compliance. please provide sufficient detail to enable a fair decision. An acceptable corrective action plan, CAP, with actions taken to avoid any future late claim submissions for the same or other causes, and a statement that says, I understand that if this exception request is granted, the exception has been used for a 3-year period, and that no future payment of late claims, originals, or upward revisions can be made to our program during this period. Please also include the signature of the person who signed the agreement with ODE CMP to operate your program, or the signature of the person currently occupying that position, who is listed as the authorized representative on the sponsor information sheet in CMP Web. When errors have been made on the original claim submitted, sponsors may submit a revision to that claim. Revised claims for an upward adjustment in reimbursement must be submitted within 60 days after the end of the claiming month. Revised claims for a downward adjustment may be submitted at any time. The revision needs to be submitted with the next original claim. For example, if a downward revision to the September claim is discovered in May, the September claim would need to be revised when the May original claim is submitted. If a sponsor repeatedly adjusts its claim downward after the 60-day submission deadline, a corrective action plan may be required. If required, a corrective action plan must be submitted in sufficient detail to demonstrate future compliance with the requirements. To revise a claim in CMP Web, start by logging into CMP Web and clicking on the orange CACFP puzzle piece. Review the information of the splashboard and click Continue. Next, you will select the CACFP fiscal year for the claim you need to revise. As a reminder, the CACFP fiscal year is from October through September. The next step is to click Revise in the line of the sponsor claim, and then scroll to the bottom of the page, leave the checkbox unchecked, and click Submit. Click Revise for your site provider claim, revise the data, and then click Submit. Be sure to correct any errors until the status is complete, and repeat steps 5 through 7 for each site or provider claim you need to revise. Click Edit on the sponsor claim, and then check the Certify box, click Submit, and notify your CACFP specialist that a revision was submitted. When the status of the sponsor claim is approved, it will be processed. Let's do a knowledge check. If you fail to file an original or upward revision within the prescribed timelines, a request for a one-time exception can be made in writing to ODE CMP. A sponsor may only have a one-time exception in the 36-month period per program, NSLP, SBP, CACFP, and SFSP. Is this true or false? This is true. If you fail to file an original or upward revision within the prescribed timelines, a request for a one-time exception can be made in writing to ODE CMP. A sponsor may only have a one-time exception in a 36-month period per program, including NSLP, SBP, CACFP, and SFSP. In this training, we have gone over CMP Web user access, how to submit a claim in CMP Web, claim errors, when to submit a reimbursement claim due dates, late claims, one-time exception requests, and revising a claim. For additional information, please refer to CACFP Policy and Procedure Manual, Chapter 6, Meal Reimbursement Claims. ODE supports equity and excellence for every learner. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Thank you for taking this training.